Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. If you're joining me today, you probably appreciate digging into how our everyday environments actually shape our minds. Well, today we're exploring the profound psychology of calmness, and we're going to do that by looking really closely at the structured design of traditional Japanese homes. It's an absolutely fascinating look at how physical space literally shapes our mental well-being. So, let's get right to it.
Have you ever walked into a space and instantly felt your shoulders just relax? Like maybe even before anyone said a single word? It's that rare feeling of stepping out of a loud, chaotic environment and into a space with no screaming colors, no clutter fighting for your attention, and absolutely no feeling of mental noise. Just pure calm. Well, for many people, that's exactly how traditional Japanese homes feel. And what's so deeply fascinating is that this peaceful feeling isn't accidental at all. It's built right in.
All right, Section 1. The modern cognitive load.
Okay, let's dive into this. Think about how modern homes are built today. They are essentially built for stimulation. We've got screens in almost every single room, notifications constantly buzzing and pulling our attention, and furniture packed so tightly together there's barely room to walk. Add in the background noise playing almost all day long, and well, we've got a recipe for exhaustion. On one side, we have the modern approach, an endless pile of screens, noise, and that one chair in the corner permanently buried under clothes. But look at the Japanese approach. Silence, simplicity, natural balance, and actual breathing room. It's a completely different philosophy of living, a subtractive one that prioritizes peace in ways modern life has almost entirely forgotten.
So to understand why this subtractive approach works so well, we kind of have to understand the science of overwhelm. Psychologists call this cognitive load, which is the exact amount of visual and sensory information your brain is actively processing at any given time. Because here's the catch. Your brain is always processing every single object, every sound, every visual interruption. The more sensory information your brain has to handle, the harder it becomes for you to ever feel truly mentally rested.
And this leads us to a pretty striking biological reality. Neuroscience suggests that cluttered environments directly increase cortisol levels, and cortisol, if you didn't know, is the primary hormone associated with stress. Even when you think you're totally ignoring that massive pile of mail or that crowded bookshelf, your brain is actually still actively working to process it in the background. That constant low-level processing slowly but surely drains your mental energy. It's literally exhausting you.
Moving on to Section 2, Math and Negative Space. Let's look at the emotional value of space. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is that traditional Japanese homes are intentionally designed to reduce that cognitive overload we just talked about, not by making life feel empty or sterile, but by making space feel intentional. This brings us to the idea of ma. It's often translated simply as negative space, but it's way deeper than just an empty, wasted corner. It's the profound idea that space itself holds emotional value. In modern homes, we look at an empty corner and think, oh, I need to fill that with a plant or a chair. But Japanese spaces allow areas to remain visually quiet on purpose. And strangely enough, that emptiness doesn't feel cold, it feels breathable, because finally your brain gets a moment to rest.
This creates a massive paradigm shift. Instead of the modern obsession with asking, how can I fit more stuff into this room? This philosophy flips it and asks, how should this room feel? It's a total focus on the emotional experience of the space, rather than just maximizing the utility of the square footage.
In practice, this means less permanent ownership of a space and a much more flexible experience. A single traditional Japanese room is entirely multifunctional. So depending on the time of day, it seamlessly transitions from a dining area to a relaxation space and eventually to a sleeping area. There's flexibility, there's constant movement. The environment never feels constantly heavily occupied. And psychologically, this flexibility creates a profound calmness because the room never feels mentally crowded.
Next up, Section 3, Wabi-sabi and emotional balance. Finding that emotional equilibrium.
Another major reason these traditional homes feel so peaceful is their unique relationship with nature. Nature isn't just brought inside to be pretty decoration, it's treated as a vital tool for achieving emotional equilibrium. You have these incredibly soothing, tactile elements working together. Simple, natural wood textures, indoor plants and stone surfaces, the gentle sound of water, paper screens that beautifully soften the harsh sunlight, creating lighting that feels warm and way less aggressive. Nothing in the room is aggressively demanding your attention, it's all working together harmoniously to soothe your senses.
And all of these natural elements connect closely to wabi-sabi,
the beautiful aesthetic philosophy that beauty actually exists in simplicity, imperfection, and natural aging. Think of a cracked ceramic bowl or a beautifully weathered wooden floor. This is a massive humanizing relief from modern life, which, let's face it, constantly pressures us to optimize everything for perfection. Perfect homes, perfect productivity, perfect appearances. But peaceful environments rarely feel perfectly polished. They feel human. They embrace softness and impermanence.
Which brings us to Section 4, the psychology of silence, the power of the absence of sound. You know, another hidden reason these spaces feel so deeply calm is sound, or more specifically, the intentional absence of unnecessary sound. In a lot of modern cultures, silence actually feels deeply uncomfortable for us. We turn on the TV automatically. We fill gaps with music. Our phones create an endless hum of background stimulation. But traditional Japanese environments are noticeably quieter. When the environment becomes quieter, the brain slowly exits its alert mode. Your breathing literally slows down. Your attention naturally softens. Your thoughts become far less fragmented. This is exactly why tourists often visit Japan and suddenly, jarringly realize just how mentally loud and exhausting their normal daily lives back home really are.
Section 5, Designing for Peace, Uncovering a Psychological Truth.
Now, we definitely have to be objective here. Of course, not every single Japanese home today is perfectly peaceful. Modern Japan, like everywhere else, struggles heavily with stress, overwork, and incredibly crowded cities. But the underlying philosophy behind their traditional spatial design still holds a profound, undeniable psychological truth for all of us. So the crucial point is this simple truth. Peace is not created by adding more. It's often created by removing what was never necessary in the first place. Less noise, less clutter, less visual pressure, less emotional chaos. And in return, more space, more intention, more awareness. True peace is absolutely fundamentally subtractive.
The core takeaway from all this material is pretty clear. Human beings simply do not mentally thrive in constant overstimulation. It's just a biological reality. We desperately need pauses. We need quiet. We need negative space. We need moments where our nervous system can finally stop defending itself against an endless barrage of input. And that is exactly why traditional Japanese homes feel so profoundly calming. They quite literally, visually, and spatially give the brain permission to breathe again. So, I want to leave you with a thought to apply to your own life in your own space. Take a look around you right now. What is one thing in your environment that instantly makes you feel calmer? And perhaps more importantly, what is one thing you could remove today to create a little more ma in your own home? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer on the architecture of stillness. I really hope it brought a bit of peace to your day.